Oh, wow. Okay, so here we are. I am just not feeling it this morning at all. But it's our unique devotion time, regardless of being awake, being tired, being in a fog, or being completely energetic. We need to do some scripture, get a little connection with God that will ultimately help us wake up and get rolling for the day. So, Ephesians chapter 6 is where we're at still, verses 10 through 13. This is entitled Whole Armor of God. There's another section to this, but I'm breaking it up into two. Just seemed appropriate, and you'll see why. So, the question is, are you alone? So listen to, keep those three little words in the back of your mind as I read this first section, Ephesians 6, 10 through 13. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, but put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore, take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all, to stand. So the question was, and still is, are you alone? I think it's a good question to ask. I think that even seasoned Christians, seasoned anything religion that has a higher power in mind, as you go through the day, we don't tend to just recognize that that higher power is always with us. We don't recognize that. We get into the drudgery of our own day. We clock in, we're doing work, we're not thinking God until something bad happens, and then we're asking Him for help. And maybe sometimes like things are going really, really well, and you have a moment and you say, wow, God, thank you. Like, I can really feel your presence because things are working well. But we don't recognize that He's there in between. He's there all the time. He's like your best friend hanging out with you constantly, always on your side, always has your back, always has your best interests, sometimes agrees with you, but gracefully disagrees. Like, He's always there. And putting on His armor, it talks here about how we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. What that means is the people around you are not the enemy. The people that you dislike, the things that people do against you that tend to make you not like them as much or like their actions, that they are not the enemy. It's the evils of this world. It's the incorrect thoughts that are driving what their actions are. That is what is wrong in this world. To really distinguish between those two is very important. So if there's someone that you work with, someone that you come into contact with in this world today, let's just say maybe it's the president, and you don't agree with what he's doing and you don't like him and you want to slander him, remember, he is not the enemy. This is, if you can really get this, picture someone that you really dislike, look at them in your mind, later when you see them, look at them in reality, and know that they are not the enemy. It's the thoughts and the things that drive their poor decisions that are the enemy. And the only way to overcome that is not by more anger and frustration and hatred towards that person. It's by gentle grace and love and compassion and coming aside them regardless of what they do and being a positive influence. So, not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness. I'm pointing at my mind of the age and the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Heavenly is a lowercase h. Think up here. It doesn't just mean exactly that, but think about that. Think about all the powers and the frustrations and the things that you run through the day, this is where the evil can start. This is where the frustration and the anger and that messed up day happens. But when you come back to realizing that you are not alone, you have a helper, you should feel the burden lift a little bit. Give that burden over. He can handle that burden. He's the creator of all things. He is also in the same, could be the destroyer of all things. So hand over those frustrations, hand over that hatred, that anger to him. Let him do with it what he will, which is hopefully destroy it and stomp it out. Okay, deep stuff. I really touched on something that's super big in a very short period of time. So the important thing is here is that 3-word question. Are you alone? Really answer that for yourself. Reread this scripture, verses 10 through 13 of Ephesians chapter 6. Re-listen to it as I read it to you. And really see how deep you can go with that. Really see what you can pull out of that by connecting with God. And realizing that you are not alone. I can't go any further with that one. So on that note, I hope God gives you all the blessings you deserve. And even more so, all the blessings you don't deserve. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, have a wonderful day. It was backwards on that. Yeah, whatever. Later.